And welcome. Tonight is Sunday, January 5th on the live stream. And if you're on the replay, I don't know what night it might be or what day, but you are welcome here. And tonight we should have an okay time taking a look at some necessary things here. But before we continue, let me say hello to everyone who is here, and we'll be quickly moving in to class. So welcome. Um, Pam Sheehan, okay. CTI Res, Commentator Root, Mark Ellis. Who's Your Daddy? Bonnie, Valencia's mom, Miss Kay, Amy, Siren, Cindy, Mary Martin, Heather Brown, Nature Loving Lady, Mino Dino, David Gray, Michelle, Say What, Tracy Fleetwood, Four Pits, Sweet Dude, Moonbeam 70s Child, Marcy, and Dennis, Donnie Kuntz, Jenny 33, Help Me Rhonda, Nancy Drew 101, Jonathan Smith, Rebecca Ann 1965, Kay, Brenda, all right, Oleg Cat, Kayla, Jay Swope, Mar R, Aaron Town, Francie Friend, Mama Bear 602, Don Steele, Unruly, Ben Aaron, Deanna Burdett. All right. And thank you for those in the chat, reminding everyone to please hit the like. So do please hit the like. It helps the channel. Help out the channel. Support the channel and hit the like. And also, lurkers, come on and join the chat, lurkers. Look, tonight will be some reading. So as I am reading, I won't be necessarily reading the chat, but please do me a favor and join the chat. Enjoy the chat while I'm reading, okay? And I'm also aware that many of us are in the middle of a snowstorm. Enjoy it. Winter only comes once a year. So a lot of us are getting snow to varying degrees. And most importantly, I hope you are all enjoying the night. Okay, so stay in, enjoy the snowstorm. You'll wake up to a bunch of snow and slick roads. So try to relax. It's a perfect night to sit down and listen to some reading and enjoy a chat. So do that. And let's see. We got Bonnie coming in. Hello, Bonnie. And hello, Marie and Jackie. Thank you guys for joining the chat. That's what I mean. Okay, if you're lurking, go ahead and join the chat. As people come into the chat, please welcome them. I may be reading a little. But yeah, so we have definitely, we have several days of wintry weather. So we should be able to occupy ourselves in the meantime. So thank you all for coming, and hopefully you enjoy the show tonight. It's not the most amazing subject matter, but it's something I think it's really important for us to cover. And we've already covered several. Remember, I covered the Holeman going to Lauren. I covered the Holeman going to Carroll County Comet, and I've covered the Lesenby going to Carroll County Comet. I've also covered the press conference where several state actors said what they had to say and did what they had to do. So we have a lot coming up, though, because not only will I be covering this piece here, which is the Murder Sheets PR uh, piece for Indiana State Police, which is going to take 2 episodes. Okay, so we'll be covering that in the course of 2 shows. We'll also be covering all of the victim impact statements. That's right. And then later this week, we'll be covering defense perspectives. So there's so many things to cover. It's going to be an action-packed week, information-packed week, okay, for all of you. So we have a lot to take in. What's up, Lavender Blue? Who else came in here? Oh, Francie said, I'm in Kansas. Ooh, you're getting the worst of it. Our True Tammy came in, I see. Okay. Scales of Injustice came in. Yeah. So there's a lot to cover this week. Okay. So let's get busy here. We're going to put this up here. Okay. So what have we here? What we have here is the Delphi murders, Jerry Holeman, December 21st piece that was released by Murder Sheet. And boy, they really tried. Okay, they made sure to utilize 2 episodes for this release. And it's important that we take a close look at these things as they happen, even if we are a couple weeks behind, because we have to have a balanced discussion about what's being presented. As we know, for 7.5 years, there's been zero transparency regarding the Delphi murders investigation, the arrest and investigation of Richard Allen, the trial, and now the aftermath, where we can't even get one juror to step forward and give us any information. Okay, so we have basically nothing. We're literally running on empty here. And it's odd that at this point in time, the ISP personnel in Carroll County are running around to all sorts of friendly outlets to try and do some damage control, try to do some narrative pushing, and try to steer, I guess, the narrative here, or the public, in a certain direction. And that's been going on since day one. Remember, they tried to make those girls heroes for filming Bridge Guy, and they tried to make Bridge Guy a mere figment of our imagination into some killer. And now we've seen that they've subsequently tried to turn this accused, Richard Allen, into the Bridge Guy. So, you form your connections and you connect point A to B to C, and that's what they've done. And like I've said so many times, we have very little evidence at all that the girls are the ones who filmed that individual. Very little evidence at all that the girls intentionally filmed that individual, if the girls indeed were the ones who filmed that individual. Very little indication at all that that individual was in any way involved in any sort of thing happening to these girls. And it goes on and on. Okay, but these sorts of narratives are the way that they've painted this accused into this position. Okay. So they've sort of reverse engineered a murder and made this actor fit into their role. And I've said so many times that I think it's way more likely that the persons who may have lured the girls out there would probably be more likely to have done them harm or have ill will towards them than anyone else. And I've also said, what are the odds that two different pedophiles targeted these two girls on the exact same day and time? How likely is that? That the Anthony Shots user would lure the girls out there and then randomly and coincidentally, Richard Allen, pedophile, would try to target the girls secondarily. I just don't think it's at all feasible. I think it's yet another coincidence that's unlikely in a case that is full of coincidences. And so that's where I am. Pardon me. So I guess with that preface, we can begin to take a look here at what we are dealing with. All right. And look, I'm aware that most people cannot read this small text unless they zoom in. And here's the deal. The point of me putting the text up is not for you to read it. Okay, I'm going to read it for you. The point of me putting it up here, as with many things that I put on the screen, is to prove to you that I'm not lying to you and I'm not misleading you. So a lot of times the reasons that I put the things that I'm reading onto the screen are not for you to read, but for you to have as proof that I am reading correctly from the document to you. So don't worry so much about reading it unless you don't believe what I'm saying. Then go ahead and confirm that what I am saying is in fact on the document. But just kick back, relax, enjoy the chat, and read. And listen to me read. So I messed that up. Kick back, relax, enjoy the chat, and listen. I'll read. All right. So here we go. Now this is going to be hard for me to do, as you know, because I'm really not a fan of these two peoples. Neither the interviewee. So all three of these people really get under my skin. So I'm going to have a problem here in maintaining my composure, but I'll try to, I promise you. Let's see. So I'm going to do my best. I'm serious, because these two here, it's hard for me not to mock every word. So I'll try to not be annoying. So, content warning. This episode contains discussion of the brutal murder of two girls. It also contains profanity, because we're not adults here. Today, we will be hearing directly from one of the lead investigators in the Delphi murders case. Well, I believe you should put investigators in quotations, allegedly, investigator. And then we come with the title. We're going to drop the title. Remember, it's a critical analysis, so we're going to be annoying in the looking at every word. Lieutenant Jerry Holeman of the Indiana State Police. Big title there. He was on this investigation from the beginning. and played a crucial role working within unified command to seek a resolution. While the gaslighting is in, it's already on 110. It's already 10 out of 10. Um, the members of unified command were tasked with solving the brutal murders of 14-year-old Liberty German and 13-year-old Abigail Williams. Solving, I don't think they solved it. Two best friends. Well, not really. They're not two best friends. They are two friends. We've talked to all the locals. They were not best friends. They were just friends who were abducted and murdered in Delphi, Indiana in 2017. Oh, it's interesting that you add abducted and murdered because, you know, in any proper critical analysis, it's important that I look at the strengths of your argument. And so I must admit that I do agree and feel that that is a strong assertion. They were abducted and murdered, but I'm pretty sure that we have different ideas of what that means. Unified Command was a team of investigators and personnel made up of individuals from the Indiana State Police title, Carroll County Sheriff's Office, that's an official title, and the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office title, and several volunteers who all worked on the case. They ran down lead after lead for years until volunteer Kathy Skank found the crucial tip sheet about Richard Allen, and the whole thing broke open. Well, see, that's where the narrative spinning is also a little unbelievable, because I think most people at this point would agree that it's pretty unbelievable. This whole needle in the haystack, lost tip narrative, Kathy Shank. Okay, so I don't think anyone's believing it anymore. So it's pretty obvious that's not what really happened. Okay. Here we go more with the narrative summary. After that, it fell to Lieutenant Holeman, again, a title unnecessarily used, and others to investigate Allen. They did so, putting together a case that was extremely fucking weak. No, I'm sorry. I'm interjecting here. I got to control myself. I said I would. Putting together a case that miraculously resulted in a successful conviction. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm inserting words again. In this past November. With the lifting of the gag order, Lieutenant Holeman, why use the title again, is now free to speak with us about the experience of investigating the case. Oh, that's how we're spinning it, that this is the relaying of an experience of investigating a case. Okay, I see what the angle is here. Some background. Lieutenant Holeman graduated from the 61st Indiana State Police Recruit Academy and has worked for the state police since 2001. He was promoted to become a detective in 2009. A question here. How much you think he's made off of the state police since 2001? Let's see, that's 23 years. What do you think he's knocking down, like at least $65,000 a year average over those years? Let's do a little math here. And again, sorry to be totally annoying, but that's what we're on, a deep dive. Okay, so if you're not used to what we do here, just sit back and relax, eat a gummy or something. Let's figure out though the approximate. Let's say let's just say on the very low end. I mean, aiming really low. I would say 67,000 times 23 years. That's $1.5 million. If he was making 67,000 a year, which is a low end, that's 1.5 mil. Mr. Holeman has been enriched working with the Indiana State Police. This past year, 1.5 mil. And I guarantee you it's above that because obviously he doesn't just make $67,000. He probably makes much more than that. This past year, he was promoted. Oh, we remember that incident, don't we? We remember the promotion. That was called the propping up of a state actor. Okay, so this is how they do things. When it's time for someone to have an important role, you promote them on up to make it appear that they have been excellent and done an amazing job and are deserving of promotions. And by doing so, you prop up your pawns in this game. All right. Remember, they did the same to Fran Gull before trial. Remember? He has undergone trainings around narcotics operations, drug intelligence, informant development and management, undercover techniques, hostage negotiations, crisis interventions, assessing criminal behavior, and the Reed Interview School. Ooh, you know what? Sounds like he handed them his resume in order for them to read down that whole list. You know, that's pretty interesting too. Why are they reading this off? And I would say the Reed Interview School is not necessarily a positive thing. That Reed technique has been the cause of most false confessions, most suicides, and other horrendous outcomes in the investigations of crimes. I would not be bragging about that. It's also likely responsible for the behaviors of Richard Allen in the interview room that was so contested, and the likely the reason for the suicide of Robert Kyle Fortson in October of last year. He also graduated from the FBI National Academy. In this interview, he will discuss the challenges of this investigation, involving the lead involving Kagan Klein, and once again, official title here used, Lieutenant Holeman's own interactions with Allen. Wonder why they had to drop the FBI as a, you see how this is all a resume. This is all a resume. This will be the first of 2 episodes featuring, again, a title, Lieutenant Holeman. This marks the beginning of our first person interview series. Well, you know what that tells you? Let me pull this down. You know what that tells us? There's more of this shit coming. Okay. That tells us there's more of this shit coming. They're probably going to have Kathy Shank, David Vito, Brian Harshman, Doug Carter, maybe Tony Liggett. They're going to have all of these people on to try to justify the Delphi murders outcome with Richard Allen. I guarantee you. That's why they're starting this new series. It's not for nothing. Okay, so let's be clear on that. We will seek to interview as many of the individuals with firsthand experience in this case as possible in the coming weeks and months. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. If you had a direct role in the case and you are open to speaking with us, please email us. Oh, I'm sure you would love nothing more than to give a platform to every single person responsible for the railroading and false conviction of Richard Allen. I'm sure. This is part of our ongoing efforts to quote unquote report, or should I say, narrative push on the Delphi murders. For years, We have not gotten the chance to hear directly from some of the principal figures in the case. That all changes now. Oh, this is horrible. This is horrible. The last thing we need is to hear from any one of these anymore. Okay. I'm going to skip down past the bullshit introduction and say, can you tell us a little about your background? All right, here we go. Here we go. You guys put your hip waders on and your tinfoil hats. They're needed. The hip waders for the bullshit and the tinfoil hats for the conspiracy theories. Here we go. Well, sure. Well, I grew up in the White County area. White as in white people, like KKK, Freemason Lodge, white power. I lived in most of my teenage years in Reynolds, Indiana, and Monon. I graduated in 1989 from North White High School, which is located up in Monon. After that, I joined the Marine Corps. Again, this is dropping that resume. Shortly after that, probably in the fall of 1989, I went to Marine Corps boot camp out in San Diego, California. After that, I did some more training in California, then went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for field artillery training. I was a 811 field artillery cannoneer. So basically, shot howitzers, loaded them, things like that. Cannons, basically. If people don't know what howitzers are, from there, I went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where I spent a majority of my time. I was first assigned to Fox Battery, 2nd Marine, 10th Division in that time. I got married probably a year and a half after I joined the Marine Corps. My wife was 3 months pregnant when I went on my first deployment. It was supposed to be for 6 months. We were going to, we call them pumps, where we fly to Okinawa and we train over there. Spent very little time in Okinawa. Went to the Philippines for a little bit. Went back to Okinawa, and the day we were supposed to fly home, we flew to Saudi Arabia. Because that was in 1991, end of 1990. Beginning of 91, when the Gulf War, the ground war kicked off. So they needed more artillery support. So we went over there, flew to Saudi Arabia, ended up moving up into Kuwait, and I believe just into Iraq. And that was during January, February of 9, end of 90, 1st of 91. After that, came home, stayed in North Carolina, and I went on 2 Mediterranean floats. We called them med floats. You're on a U.S. vessel and you float around the Mediterranean. We go train with different countries like Turkey, Italy, Greece, Albania, Spain, just to name a few. I can't remember all of them, but I did 2 med floats. One was on the USS Gunston Hall. That was my first one. And the second one, I was aboard the USS Saipan, and I re-enlisted. And then I was honorably discharged in 1997. After that, I wanted to be a state trooper. I wanted to get into law enforcement. My father was in law enforcement. He was a town marshal of Reynolds and also a correction officer at White County. And ended up becoming director of community corrections when they started that. And when they started that in White County. So I kind of had an idea after being in the Marine Corps and what my dad did. I wanted to get into law enforcement, but I didn't really want to go city or county. I did apply for a few, but I really wanted to be a state trooper. I had some people retired, Lieutenant Jay Janke, Sergeant Kim Riley, some of those people those are some troopers that I knew growing up that my dad would hang around. You guys getting that? So in other words, Kim Riley. So your dad, close friend of Kim Riley. Okay. So that matters because Kim Riley ended up being the major face of the investigation in the early days of Delphi murders. Remember that? And I always thought that's what I want to be. I want to be like those guys. Truth comes to the surface. It's not fantasy world, Jer. It's not fantasy world. This is not a role you play. You don't grow up to step into this role. I want to be like those guys. But at the time I got out of the Marine Corps, you had to have 40 credit hours. And I didn't have any college at the time. So I went to work at Wabash National, which is a trailer factory in Lafayette. My father-in-law at the time was a supervisor over the used trailer department, and they would hire a bunch of people through the temporary services. And I went through the temporary service and I worked there for him for 6 months. And then I got hired on full-time at Wabash, went and worked the line and ended up in metal fab. But I didn't enjoy it. I didn't feel like it was rewarding. I was doing the same thing. And just coming out of the Marine Corps where you're doing all kind of traveling and doing all kinds of exciting things, high-speed shit, and serving your country, it was kind of a drop-off. Oh, so yeah, I understand adrenaline junkie. It's some high-speed shit. Marine Corps shit. Ooh, ooh, ah. So then I really knew I wanted to get into law enforcement. So I went back to Purdue for a little while. I kind of thought, well, if I don't want to be a police officer, maybe I'll be a school teacher. You can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. Can we just call it a night? Please. I can't. Just can't do this. So I went for education. At first, I did a couple semesters at Purdue. It was extremely difficult because you had to spell read and write and arithmetic. Because I was working the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and then not there every day, but I would go substitute teach. And from like 8 to 3:30, take a nap. I'm dead. And then I had night classes. I had 2 night classes. So I'd go to my night classes, which usually started at 7 or 8 and ended up at 9 or 10. And then I'd go right to work and try to get a nap in here or there. But at some point around 2000, I think it was the summer of 2000, I called him my neighbor. But we lived out in the middle of nowhere. So Kim Riley lived about 1.5 miles, maybe 3 cornfields over. And then my wife, where she grew up, they were neighbors. So my wife would babysit Kim Riley's kids. Is this picture coming clear now? He's painting a picture here. This is some White County cornfield neighbor of Kim Riley shit, substitute teaching as good old boy shit right here. He'd always stopped by or see me mowing the roadsides and ask if I was still interested in being a state trooper. I said, yeah, I'm still working on it. I'm working full-time job, going back to school part-time. And he said that the state police was going to use, if you had a certain amount of time in the military, you could use that in lieu of the 40 credit hours. And I said, well, if that happens, bring me an application. I'll apply right away. And then he did one day. Pulled out, this was before the internet and laptops and everything in 2000, just kicking off. He brought me a written application and I filled it out and started the process like June of 2000. And I got hired with the state police in January of 2001. That's when I started. So tell us a little bit about your career with the state police and how you sort of rose up the ranks with that. Sure. Like I said, I went to I was selected to go to the academy in January of 2001. Graduated in June of 2001. I was appointed to the Lafayette district as a road trooper. So everybody that comes through the state police, no matter where they are now, starts as an enforcement or road trooper. And I did that for about 5 years. I worked the White and Carroll counties. I worked midnight and night shift. No, I'm sorry, mid shift and night shift. So mid shift back then would have been like 2 p.m. to 10:30. And then night shift would have been 10 p.m. or late shift would have been 10 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. So I worked those shifts a lot. So I got a lot of experience with OWI investigations, drug investigations, things like that. And then in 2004 or 5, I was sent to methamphetamine, clandestine lab training. And I was able to identify meth labs and dismantle them. Well, shit. I mean, you're up to your elbows in that shit in Carroll County. So best thing you could have did is go into meth training. I mean, and hey, investigating the Delphi murders. Please tell me, why didn't you hone in on the fact that it was all the meth heads who killed those girls, and they walked into a situation, and you, being a specialist in meth, you should have known that. At that time, we had a part-time team, and I think sometime in 05 or 06, the law changed to where you had to sign for pseudoephedrine. And if you bought too much, then that was a crime. But it was also a lead for us to find out who was manufacturing methamphetamine illegally in the communities. Shit, I can help you with that. Most of the family of the victims, for starters, and then the Kokomo crew, right? So in 06, I was a full-time meth suppression guy for Lafayette. And I did that for about 3 years. Did a lot of training, a lot of investigative experience interviews, following up on people that were basically buying pseudoephedrine for people to make Smurfs. Smurfs. So you know Jinx. It's all coming clear now. It's all fucking coming clear now. Because it's all the Smurfs who were the trolls for the past years in the Delphi murders. And now it's becoming clear as to why you guys never dealt with all of the trolling, harassment, doxing, death threats, and all the shit that you were sent. Because you're basically, you know, the trolls like the back of your hand. Because they're the Smurfs. So I worked hand in hand with the drug enforcement section. And like I said, I did that till 2009. I really enjoyed that job. Just nobody wanted to deal drugs or make meth, 9 to 5. So it was always inconvenient, 2 in the morning on your birthday or your wedding anniversary or Christmas. And so after 3 years of doing that, I just kind of thought my services would be better, enjoyed a regular investigation. So I put in for a promotion to district detective is what we call them. And I got that promotion in 2009. So I was a district detective. District detectives work a little bit of everything, child molest cases, bank robberies, homicides, officer-involved shootings, financial crimes, internet crimes. I mean, basically the bread and butter of Carroll County. So, hey, you know what they say? In your element. In your element. But see, he wanted that 9 to 5. He wanted that 9 to 5. So he left the meth heads and went to the other criminals. So I did that for about 5 years. And then in 2014, I was promoted again. Wow. Are you Freemason? Are you a member of the lodge? I read today that there are 50,000 Freemasons in the state of Indiana alone. 50,000 just in the state of Indiana. It would make sense that you would be one. The investigative squad leader. I was promoted to sergeant. The investigative squad leader does a lot of the day-to-day supervision of the detectives. And we back then, I think we had between 4 to 6 detectives at the time. And you're responsible for reviewing their reports, making sure that they have the training and resources available to do their job. And as sergeant, you still worked a lot of cases with them as well. I only did that for 2 years. And then I was promoted. What? How many promotions are you getting? Promoted again to district investigative commander, the rank of first sergeant. And the first sergeant basically oversees the sergeant, but he also oversees all other investigations that even troopers do. So you have the ISL that you're responsible for. You work with the road sergeants and their troopers to make sure that they're doing the reports correctly and in a timely manner and getting to the prosecutor for their review, and also making sure they have any resources they need to do a thorough investigation. And I did that from 2016 to 2024. Well, paper pushing is what you're saying, because that's basically a paper pushing job, right? It's kind of like making that probable cause. Where in March of 24, I was promoted again. Again. Promoted again. Probably by Doug Carter personally this time. To the rank of lieutenant. And I was the Area 1 investigative commander. The Area 1 investigative commander covers Area 1, which is the Peru post, the Lafayette post, and the Lowell post. Now, that's very important. That's very important for all of you guys to understand at this point. So where he's been promoted to now, his rank now, is lieutenant commander of Peru, Lafayette, and Lowell posts. That's a good chunk of the state right there. And I basically supervise the district investigative commanders and make sure, same thing you do as district investigative commander, but you have a bigger area, and you just make sure that they have resources, training, and other logistics, such as travel. If they're going to travel out of state, you got to organize that. You make sure they have the tools necessary to be able to do their job, and that's what I've been doing since March of 2024. Sorry, I had to get a little bite. So he's he's talked so much about himself now that one of the murder shits has to correct him or get him back get him back on target. Enough about you, Holeman. Let's go back to 2017. In February of that year, Liberty German and Abigail Williams were murdered, and you became involved in that investigation. How did you happen to become involved in that case? I was in charge of all district investigations. I actually was on my way to work at an office at the Lafayette Post, and I heard on the radio that there was 2 missing girls in Delphi. So I immediately called Sheriff Lesenby at the time and asked him what was going on. And he basically said that 2 young females went missing. They were supposed to be on a trail and picked up on the 13th, and I think he said pretty much he had a bunch of volunteers over there and they didn't really need any assistance at the time. That was probably 8 in the morning on my way to the post. Later, I was contacted by a retired captain, Dave Kirkham. He was the area captain. And he asked me if I knew what was going on. I said, yeah, I heard there was 2 missing girls in Delphi. I reached out to the sheriff at this time, and he said he had enough help. He said, well, they're requesting a helicopter, so we need boots on the ground, so to speak. We need you to go over there and give us some feedback, what's going on. So I went over there. I was familiar with Sheriff Tobe Lesenby, worked some cases. Worked with him when he worked on the road. Same thing with Tony Liggett. I knew of Tony and Kevin Hammond. So I saw all three of them. I met with them and we discussed what was going on. They had a large amount of people volunteering to go search. So see, what's interesting here is he made, okay, so let me pull this down a moment. So he's made sure to tell this story every single interview so far. Okay, he's told it with Lauren, he's told it with Amy over at the Carroll County Comet, and he's told it with Murder Sheet. So this is a real important point that he's pushing in this narrative is how he and when he initially contacted boots on the ground. So let's keep reading here. I had nothing to do with that. They were organizing, having people sign in and things like that. So I probably got there between 11 and 11:30. Shortly after that, around 12 p.m., we were notified that the two girls were located in the woods near the High Bridge. See, that's where I differ. That's not what really happened. That's not what really happened. I mean, Dave Erskine very clearly indicated what happened, and little Frankie very clearly said what Becky told him. So there's this huge discrepancy about the time the girls were found, and we'll never forget that. Okay, that is a talking point that is an anomaly in all of this, and you have to ask yourself why. So actually, my car was blocked in. So I rode out with an FBI agent at the time named Rich Davies. And we went to the scene. There was already some police officers there, not many. Okay, listen to this story very carefully, please. So I rode out there with Rich Davies. There was already some police officers out there, but not many. But I went down to the bottom of the hill, and later Sergeant Buckley took over as the ISL for me when I got promoted to DIC. Him and I met. At some point, we met with Tony Liggett and Kevin Hammond, and we were asking, do you want to work? Do you want to be the lead in this? Or do you want us to be the lead in it? And things like that. So we worked out the logistics of that and got some crime scene tape up and started the investigation from there. You see, my gut instinct here, my intuition says there's something about this moment. There's something about this moment here, which is a glitch. There's a glitch in this moment here. For some reason, there's a glitch in this moment. And in every single interview that out of the three so far, there's something about this moment. I don't know what it is, though. But there's something. There's a reason he's talking about it this way. Can you tell us a little about how brutal this crime was against these two young girls? Yeah, I would say it's very brutal. The two young girls had their throats slit, Abby one time, Libby, depending on how you look at it, at least 3 or 4 times, but several times. And then they were just treated like animals. They were left in the woods with sticks on them. Libby was completely naked. Abby was naked at some point or had some of her clothes off. She had some of Liberty's clothes on, allegedly. And here's where we're going to get to here's where we start. Okay, this is where it starts with the narrative pushing. So all of you guys out there, get your pens out if you're taking notes. This is where it starts with the oddity of the pushing the narrative against Richard Allen. So get ready. And like I said, Richard Allen, treated these two like animals. You just don't treat humans like that. He embarrassed them. He controlled them with a gun, you know? So it was brutal. I just wonder out, how do you know though? How do you know? I wonder about, like, how do you know he controlled them with a gun? How do you know it was Richard Allen? You've got zero proof it was Richard Allen, zero proof a gun was involved. It's just odd to me. Geez, I lost my place. Oh man. I'm starting to get upset now. You see, you can tell when I start getting upset, I get all flustered. Let's see. I think with my background as a Marine, I've become compartmentalized a little bit. And scenes like that really don't bother me as much. So it wasn't like, oh my God. I was more like angry that someone would treat two human beings, two innocent young girls like that. I'll never be able to understand how somebody could treat two people like that. And that's where I want to be fair with you, Jerry, because like I said, I should always acknowledge the strengths of your argument. And yes, I totally agree. It is angering that anyone would treat two innocent young girls like that. I'll never be able to understand that. Totally agree. 1,000,000%. See, the problem here, though, is the conviction that it's Richard Allen versus a bunch of meth heads. See, that's the thing. I believe it was horrible and brutal and unbelievable and angering what happened to those two innocent young girls. But I just don't see proof of Richard Allen doing it. And it's even hard to believe. It's much easier to believe that it was this group of fucking meth heads and Vinlanders. It just is. In my mind, there's much more evidence against others than there is against it, Richard Allen. So I was more angry about that in all of the brutal, horrific crime that it was, just because I became a little bit callous to it with 8 years in the Marine Corps. And at that time, 2015, 20 years as a state trooper, you just unfortunately get used to that. Oh, no, he said 15, 20 years as a state trooper, you get used to it. Okay. So you mentioned that, from the get-go, you guys were working with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, and there were other agencies involved as well. And I'm just wondering, you worked it for so many years. What was working in the beginning like, and how did that change over time? So what did the workflow look like for you? Right. I think, like I said, we established early on that it was going to be the county's case. Initially, ISP agreed to assist with the FBI. Steve Mullins was the chief of Delphi. And I remember standing at the bottom of the hill, there he says it again, talking to Kevin and Tony and asking them, like I said earlier, do you guys want to be the lead on this, or do you want us to? And I can't remember which one, but one of them said, you guys should probably take it. And the other one's like, well, let's talk to the sheriff. Sheriff come down and said, hey, I think we're going to take it, but will you support us and give us all the resources that we need to take, that the state police have, so that we don't? And I said, absolutely. I said, we're not going to leave you hanging on this. We're going to be in this with you from day one until the end. So we did, and initially, like I said, it was a small group, but within days, every surrounding county, seemed like every county, every agency wanted to help. It just hit the media. It hit social media, and everybody wanted, they had good intentions and wanted to help. And they did help. And it just became a managerial nightmare at times, because as a state trooper, I have authority over them, but I don't have authority over the county or the FBI, So when you ask for reports or you ask somebody to do something, you don't know their strengths and weaknesses. This is the talking points that concern me here are how he's spinning this narrative about whose decision it is that Carroll County take the lead. I've noticed that in all of these interviews. This is another one that he's spinning to say that he's establishing this definitive narrative about how the decision was made that Carroll County become the lead of this. But then he's complaining that it's a nightmare because you don't have authority over the county or the FBI. It's just, it's bizarre. So it just got a little bit frustrating how difficult it was to manage at times. But then again, how are you going to tell people not to help you find the killer of two innocent young girls? All right, just a moment. Sorry. All right. So after a few years, it started calming down a little bit. A lot of people had to get back to, you could only hit the pause button so long. Other agencies had to start pulling back the resources that they were giving, including the FBI. The FBI had some turnover rate where I know Mike Peasley was transferred, Rich Davies had retired, and we got a few other people in and out of there. But they had other things to do as well. But anytime we'd ask them anytime we asked the FBI, we were able to get assistance if needed. Hold on. So you're saying after a few years, not a few days, you're saying that after a few years, it's time for people to get back to what they were doing before? No, not buying it. Not buying it. No. The way this really works is, yeah, after a few days, people have to get back into some sort of flow. Once things have gone into several years, they're good where they are. So there's something not right here, okay? There's something not right here. Yes, after a few days, people have to get back to their schedule. After a few years, it seems like, yeah, people retired, people were transferred, but that's when you probably realized you had to get rid of the fucking FBI, because we know what actually happened when we look in retrospect. Okay, what happened is after a few years, you dumped the FBI, you told them to kick rocks, to fuck off, and give you all your shit back. All right, that's what really happened. But let's continue. And I can still call those guys today. And I just had Mike Peasley call me a couple weeks ago asking for a couple troopers to help the FBI serve a search warrant. And we did so. And then Rich Davies ended up coming back after he retired as a special deputy to assist with the investigation. So we had a good rapport with most of the agencies that we worked with, including the FBI. Hello, aren't you supposed to? I mean, this is called professionalism, right? As law enforcement, you're supposed to maintain professionalism and professional relationships. So you should have good rapport with all other law enforcement agencies. Are you not supposed to? I mean, dude, I know there's some misconceptions there. Misconceptions. What, the fact that you kicked the FBI out of the fucking Delphi murders investigation for no fucking reason whatsoever? But everybody wanted to help, and we wanted everybody's help, but it just turned into a little bit more than we anticipated. That's rich. That's rich. Why would you ever kick the FBI off of an investigation with two double murder, two little girls in your area? It doesn't pass the smell test. It just doesn't. Sorry. Doesn't at all. Never will. I mean, was the FBI like, yo, you got to do something about these white nationalists in your fucking counties? What unique challenges did you guys face in this case? Oh, you you like how she just whoop? Oh my god, that's like a woman. That's like a woman, right? Just straight up change the subject in your face. Just in your fucking face. She's like, so anyway, I was talking to Maria and oh my god, dude. Come on, dude. What unique challenges did you guys face in this case? Let's change the subject real quick. Wow, you can't make this shit up. This is a complete shit show. See, these people are amateurs. The real story. These people are fucking amateurs. Okay, they're amateurs. These are fucking amateurs. It's a shit show, and you can see right through it. And that's the way that it is. What unique challenges did you guys face in this case? Let's change the subject. No more FBI talk. Oh my God. Yeah, good point. Good. I wonder what was I wonder what was edited out of this. Is this where they cut out like 5 minutes, 10 minutes of you know edit? Well, I think when people think about the case, they don't realize how far out in the middle of nowhere it occurred. Wrong answer. No, it's close to town and it's in Ron Logan's backyard and Brad Weber's backyard. It's not in the middle of nowhere. Sorry. So we only had one video camera that was catching a little bit of traffic on a road near the scene. That's very little evidence, and I think people get caught up with that. But there's many crimes where you don't have DNA or you have an insufficient amount of DNA. That's not uncommon, but it's a challenge when you don't have that evidence. It became a very high profile case amongst the media nationwide. I mean, we were getting calls from everywhere, media outlets from Chicago, California, talk shows. So that's one of the things where it became challenging because you're trying to manage all this, and all agencies involved made it somewhat challenging as well. And not to mention that we had to move our command center 3 or 4 times. We just started above the Delphi Police Department, moved to a better facility where RMC building, the old RMC building, which was nice of them to let us use. Then we moved back to the Delphi building, and then we moved up. We moved to another location, and that was a challenge. And just having a lot of people wanting to help, we mentioned it. We talk about it all the time amongst us, is you had a lot of people with good intentions, but you can't have an electrician do a plumber's job. So there's a lot of bitching here. Okay, so there's a lot of bitching here about the overwhelming amount of help you had. That's a weird thing to be fucking complaining about in an interview. Oh, well, we had the FBI and the county wanting to help us, and oh no, we had all these media outlets. We had people from California interested in promoting the case, and and Chicago and California and talk shows and FBI and the Carroll County. And we just had so much help, and just people wanted to help us. So it got a little bit chaotic there. I always say, it started out as chaos. We got it to be controlled chaos. And then as soon as we could, it was a more manageable chaos. It was still chaotic, but we were able to manage it. The other thing that was challenging was the enormous number of tips. Oh, here's more complaints about help. More complaining about tips and leads. We had over 14,000 emails, calls, and our job was to leave no stones unturned. Complaining about help. Look, I've said so many times, how many homicides in this country happen every fucking day and they don't get any help? And you had more help than any case in the world, and you're complaining about it? So we would not only address those tips that come in, but go back over and review it, have other agencies do a peer review. And by doing that, we cleared a lot of people. We also made a lot of unrelated arrests too. So that was helpful. No, this is narrative spinning. This is making it seem like you do a good job. How about this? Yeah, we lost 70 days. We deleted 70 days of interviews, probably of people who would have led to exculpatory or to the actual killers, which would have been exculpatory to anyone we were setting up as a patsy. How did the tips lead to arrest in unrelated cases? Let's change the subject again. You know, I always said that the public has an eye for bad people. They know this person's bad. Doesn't necessarily make him to be the child murderer or whatever, but we did help clear a cold case, a murder. We had a tip on a guy from the Peru area. We passed that information on over to the Peru district. Bob Burgess took it, and they were able to make an arrest from that. Just going to people's houses. Well, who was that? Who was that? Anyone in the chat know what he's talking about with this cold case murder in Peru? We would stumble upon meth labs, people wanted on warrants, people doing things they shouldn't be doing at the time when we went to interview them. Yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. You probably stumbled upon some of the fucking actual killers. So some of the tips were obviously helpful, you know, even in ways that may have not been intended to be. Were all of the tips helpful? This is what you call asking a question you already know that. Look, you stupid motherfucker. All right, Kevin, look, Kevin, you know all of the tips weren't helpful. Why would you ask that question? Not all of them. Ha 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 ha. Not all of them. We did get a lot of unorthodox tips, and some tips just didn't have enough information. You know, we'd get a call saying, looks like a guy who sounds like a guy, but they wouldn't tell us where or who, you know. He's at Walmart. Well, what Walmart? We didn't know if it was a state of Indiana or North Carolina. So often those were not helpful. We would get some, just like I said, off the wall type tips about the Sasquatches living under the bridge. We should interview the Sasquatches and Potawatomi Indians that live out there. They observed this crime, so you need to interview them. Things like that, things that weren't helpful. And then I would get a lot of what I would refer to as investigative suggestions. You know, you should do this, you should do that. Yeah, because people care about this case. People care about this case, and you've taken that for granted. And now you're shaming people for helping you. You shamed the FBI for wanting to help you and being able to help you. You're shaming all the tipsters for sending in tips. A lot of them we'd already done. Sure. Right, Jer. I can't remember anybody giving us a suggestion that we didn't think of. Oh, really? Really? So you mean to tell me not one tip at all was in any way helpful because you thought of everything first? Can we reread that? Can we please read? Come on, please. Look, it's down here. Look, this is the second no, the third paragraph from the bottom here. Look, right here. Okay, right here. And a lot of them we done already. I can't remember anybody giving us a suggestion that we didn't think of. Like some of them were good, like check all the sex offender register lists in the area, check all the cameras around the crime scene, interview everybody that lives out there, just things like that. You know, we'd already done multiple times, but some of them were just a bit crazy, like we should polygraph the guy on the bridge. I like how you're making fun of it. I like how you're making fun of it over the fucking sleepless nights. Okay. The extreme mental and emotional distress that people have been subjected to because of this case. Shit, the damn near suicides over this case. And you're laughing about it. Well, use sodium pentothal, ha ha ha, on the guy on the bridge to make him tell the truth. and just some things like that. And we definitely, you took the good with the bad, but we appreciated how much the public wanted to help. It was just not locally, but nationwide. We were getting tips all over that it was duly noted and very appreciated. You can't make this shit up. This actually makes me too angry to read. You mentioned a bridge guy, and I'm wondering, can you speak a bit about the video found on Libby's phone and how integral that ended up being to the case? Nice choice of words. Would you look that up in a thesaurus? It's integral, Kevin, that you put your penis in me. I am in desiring of copulation. We were really confident that a guy on the bridge was the one person that murdered the girls or had significant involvement with it. And our main focus the whole time was trying to locate that person. So it was very important to us to identify him. And unfortunately, it took us a long time to do that, but we did. Allegedly, so says you. One thing I always wondered about was a couple of years ago into the case. Sorry. A couple of years into the case, there was this press conference where it was announced that a new direction was being taken. What was that about, and what inspired it? It was integral to the copulation of the couple joined in holy matrimony. Well, like I said earlier, we had a lot of different agencies reviewing the case, and we had people giving their input, and we were at the point where we weren't really getting any new information. So we wanted to try a different approach. And some of the suggestions were to speak directly to the killer and tell him that we thought he was hiding in plain sight and trying to generate better tips. I think a couple times during the press conferences, we put a poster board up saying, this is what we need for a tip. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but, give us more information than just sounds like my cousin, looks like my cousin, where's your cousin live? Is he tied to Delphi? Do you know? And we understand that some people don't know all that information, but we were requesting more information to do. So basically, what you're admitting is it was all bullshit? Are you just literally admitting that the entire change of direction was just a bunch of gaslighting ass bullshit? I think so. And then we did the new sketch. I and others always thought it was the same person. All right, here we go with the narrative spinning. Okay, this is the narrative spinning. So, like I said, get your notebooks out. This is something that goes in a notebook. Okay. Talking point that he's doing this interview to spread right here. Sketches. We always thought it was the same person. Let's read it again. I and others always thought it was the same person. Okay, but what about that press release that very clearly says they are not the same person? Oh, you thought we didn't remember that a couple days after this press conference you're discussing, that you literally put out a bulletin to clarify the two sketches, and that the new sketch was not the old sketch, that they're two separate individuals, they're not the same person, and that the old guy sketch is no longer a person of interest. Now the new person, the young guy sketch, is the person of interest. Hold up. I see a dumbass in the chat. I got to deal with him. Okay, got to deal with the dumbass. Because you're coming in here like a fucking idiot. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to screenshot your channel. Okay, because I know that you're not, I know your name is not Joe. Okay, then you're permanently banned for saying such a stupid fucking statement on my channel while I'm trying to do a show. Okay, you're literally trying to derail me right now. Okay, so here's what happens to pussies like you. Okay. Let me clarify something here. Joe Newman, which is a Masonic name. You guys realize that, like Paul Newman, it's not his name. Okay. A very common name that Masons take is Newman because they believe they become new men when they become initiated into the group. So Joe Newman, let me tell you something. I do look at these children like I look at all children, which is as if they are my children, because I love children. So back to what I'm actually doing. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I don't like to get distracted. Should never even look at. That's why I don't look at the chat. All right. Where was I here? Let's put it back. Let's get back on track. You like how they come at the exact right time when I'm hitting on the most important point of this entire show? I and others always thought it was the same person. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because specifically, ISP put out a written press release or bulletin, a clarifying point that they are not the same person. They are two separate people. The old guy is no longer a person of interest, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so you and others did not always think that. That's what you're saying now because you're trying to reverse engineer some sort of, it's always been a lone wolf perpetrator. Because different witnesses saw Richard Allen from different angles and different locations, different lighting. Oh, really? Really? So so first of all, you're claiming that they all saw Richard Allen. Well, question for you. Why couldn't any of them say, yeah, you know, Richard Allen, that guy over there sitting right over there, that's who I intended to portray in this sketch. None could do that. You know what else none could do? None could say, yeah, that guy over there sitting right in that chair, Richard Allen, yeah, he's the one that I saw out there that day. But you're trying to tell me that lighting and different angles cause the years or the age to oscillate 20 years. So a guy goes from 20 years old to 40 years old. Tell me this, Holeman. Are you trying to assert here that the lighting would cause a guy to go from big and muscular and all black to a tiny little short guy wearing blue or tan? So we thought putting out this new sketch may give someone the same perception that the witness had that day. So we thought that that might help. And I always thought it was just a younger version, you know. If an older person sees someone a little younger, they're going to describe him a lot younger. Bullshit. Bullshit. If a younger person sees somebody that's older than them, they may perceive him as older. Bullshit. You know, I'm not a huge fan of sketches. Oh, of course not. Because they did not suit you in the prosecution of Richard Allen. Tell the truth. If those sketches identically matched Richard Allen, you would be a huge fan of sketches, and they would have been allowed in court. Come on, let's be real here. Neither of those sketches match Richard Allen at all. They both conflict, just like the witnesses' descriptions conflict. Nothing fits Richard Allen. Therefore, you didn't want nothing in there. And you're not a fan. I know that they're not always reliable, and witness statements sometimes get a little messy. Yeah, but Betsy Blair said a 10 out of fucking 10 for that young guy sketch. 10 out of 10. Look, you know how, listen, when you're looking at a significant other, okay? Significant other. Scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10. My babe's a 10 out of 10. Oh, what about that one over? I don't know, man. She's more like a 6 out of 10. 7 at best. 7 at best. Well, from Delphi, 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Sorry, at best. Maybe 4 on a bad if I'm drunk enough. Oh no, burrito. Okay. Look, tried this burrito for the first time. Oh, it's delicious looking. It smells great. And bite it. 10 out of 10. Perfection. What does 10 out of 10 mean? Taco Bell burrito. 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 at best. 10 out of 10 has meaning. Betsy Blair said 10 out of 10 on that young guy. Come on, man. Who are you fooling here? Do you honestly think that the 10 out of 10, do you think that sketch is Richard Allen? I mean, let's be real here. Let's be real here. I mean, let's talk as honestly as we would talk with our children or our best friends or our buddies or whatever. Do you honestly believe that 10 out of 10 sketch is Richard Allen? Come on. There's no way. And just because people aren't trained to be witnesses, they're out there. They don't know a crime's about to occur or a crime just occurred. They're just out there enjoying the day. 10 out of 10. So when it comes down to seeing that, kind of like, a bank robbery, you got 4 tellers, you're going to get 4 different descriptions. But once they see that still photo from the surveillance video, they're going to be like, yep, that's the guy. And they get angry at themselves for giving a poor description of that. So I think that's common with the witnesses. But again, we weren't going to leave any stone unturned. We were going to try every avenue of approach to approach this and try to find out who did it. A question. Did any of your witnesses look at Richard Allen and say, yeah, that's absolutely. Did you put a line up in front of Betsy Blair with Richard Allen in it? Did you do a lineup for Carbo with Richard Allen? How about Voorhees? With any of your alleged witnesses, did you put a lineup with Richard Allen in it, and did they pick Richard Allen out of that lineup? Can't answer the question, can you? At the end of the day, we were focused on that photo that Libby provided off our video. That was who we were saying, the superintendent said multiple times, don't focus on the sketches, focus on the video, the clothing, anything like that. So you're going to identify a fucking clothing? So in other words, we know you can't see the face on that image. So you're expecting them to identify a double murder of 2 little kids based off of some blue jeans and jacket that 90% of the men in central Indiana wear? Loosely fitting blue jeans and some sort of jacket. This is all bullshit. Look, I'm gonna call it like I said, bro. Look, I'm gonna call it like I see it. This is all bullshit right here. Okay, this is bullshit. This is trying to explain yourself after the fact. The clothing, anything that's the guy we want to talk to. So that was kind of the gist of the new direction. Really? Mm-mm. It don't work. It don't work. It don't work. You mentioned that you wanted to kind of confront this guy or speak directly to him through that press conference behind the scenes. What sort of things were you guys as investigators talking about when you were thinking about, what kind of person did this in terms of characteristics that he might have? Sure. I think through our investigation and some of the outside peer reviews, we thought it was somebody that was a power assertive or control person. Some of the BAU and some of these other agencies that kind of reviewed it said it was more than likely was someone with limited or no criminal history. Some people said it was somebody that was introverted and didn't get out or lived in their parents' basement, but it was somebody that had controlling demeanor of them that wanted to be in control. So that's kind of what we were thinking. At the time of this press conference, we did not have any indication or evidence leading us to believe it was Richard Allen. Not at that time, we just didn't. So we were just kind of working off what the behavioral analysis units were telling us from the FBI. Well, you are aware that they were saying it was some sort of white supremacist Nazi freak, right? Some sort of Norse paganist leaning person, right? Can't remember if the U.S. Marshals were involved at the time yet or not, but their BAU did analysis on the information. And then we had another group from the Sherry Black Foundation, a couple of former psychiatrists, and a former Pennsylvania state trooper that gave us an analysis. So we're going off that information and trying to figure out what type of person. And that's what we've come out with, is a power assertive control freak, probably someone who has fantasies about sexually assaulting 2 young girls as well. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that that's the Richard Allen MO. No way. Mm-mm. So I'm sure throughout this entire investigation that there were times when names came up and they were looked at and maybe dismissed, or the public didn't even know about it. But the one name that the public did find out about was Kagan Klein, because we did all we could to talk about his ass on our podcast. So we're going to once again direct this right on back to our podcast. So let's talk about our podcast, please. And Kagan Klein, can you talk a little bit about him? Thank you, Chevy Killer. We're almost done, Brand. I'm trying. Thank you. Let me put that up. Yeah, we're on a full out PR campaign right now. Full out PR campaign. Hi, Shibby. Good night, all. Good night, Chevy Killer 306. You got snow? Do you have snow? We're in a blizzard. Half the country's in a blizzard, damn near. All right, now where are we, though? Where are we? Oh, we're going to... Can we talk about Chubby? Can we talk about Chubby? Let's talk about Chubby. Remember, as I've said so many times, creator of the Anthony Shots account, creator, not necessarily user, creator. So who purchased it from him, or who did he create it for? Sure, I can't remember exactly how we got the tip, but I know it came through our ICAC, Indiana Crimes Against Children. They started working that case as somebody who was a child predator and was soliciting young girls for meet them and get pictures. And at some point, we found out that he was communicating with Libby and some of her friends. No, you mean Anthony Shots, not necessarily Kagan. What we learned about Kagan is that he was a pathological liar. Yeah, you know why you say that? You know why that's a talking point? Everyone put this in the notebooks too. The reason that they consistently, he's also said that in one of the other interviews. The reason he consistently labels Keegan Kline as a pathological liar is because you have to, in order to say that he's lying about the fact that him and his dad were over there at the trails that day. Because he told too many people that he and his father were out there at the trails in Delphi that day, that he parked in the cemetery, waited in the car. His dad went down there to the creek, came back bloody, said, "We had fun, and all I did was help move the bodies." So in order to explain that away, you have to paint him as a pathological liar. Now, did he possibly also create the account that was communicating with the girls? Yes. He created the Anthony Shots. It looks like it. Was he also selling material of a sexual nature to other people in the community? Yeah, it looks like it. Was someone using his accounts as part of this Dropbox? Yeah, it looks like it. So it looks to me like Keegan Kline is a nexus in all of this. That's what it looks like to me. He's a nexus. But to make that go away, we're going to just go ahead and label him a pathological liar. Therefore, erasing the nexus. He was using a first fake persona named Anthony Shots to lure these girls in. You don't know if it was him using the Anthony Shots. I believe it was someone else. And we investigated him very thoroughly. Come on, bro. We spent countless hours, manpower, and resources on him. Yeah, right. Come on, man. And at the end of the day, here's the truth. Okay, get ready. Here's a truth bomb. We just were not able to establish probable cause in this case. That's the truth bomb. Remember, I said I'm going to give him credit where credit is due. At the end of the day, we just were not able to establish probable cause in this case. Do I think he was communicating with the girls and that may be one of the reasons why they showed up on the bridge? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean he's responsible for murdering them. Right. Right. So what's really going on here? We've exhausted every investigative technique we could and just couldn't establish that probable cause that he's involved. Right. That's what I'm saying. And I think he kind of, to get jailhouse cred or whatever, took the opportunity and tried to get 50 minutes of fame by doing some interviews and saying some things that weren't necessarily true. No, 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 no. That wasn't about jailhouse cred. That was about commissary. Okay, he wanted cash. He wanted snacks. But here's the thing, bro. Him telling those things that I just said to his quote unquote boyfriend wasn't for commissary or snacks or cred. That was pillow talk, bro. That was pillow talk. That's Kagan Klein gay pillow talk to his jailhouse boyfriend. Do you get it now? Pillow talk be real as a motherfucker at times. That's my take on Kagan Klein. But I think other people might have a different perception of that. Yeah, I do. I do. I do. And I just gave you my perception. And it's my honest opinion. And it's probably in the right direction. See, I'm not out here spinning it. I'm not on a PR campaign for the state of Indiana. So things like the red Jeep that he traveled to the crime scene in, you know, that you guys were not able to find on any footage, like you have to go where the evidence is. Look, bitch, he didn't say to his lover, he didn't say a red Jeep. He said his car. He said he was in a car. Okay. The red Jeep, that's something he probably lied to you guys about. Murder shits, because you were stupid enough to be duped and give him some commissary. But from the real people he told this story to, he said he was in a car, not a Jeep. Jesus Christ, man. And we did find the red Jeep, and we had it for a while and tested it and didn't find any evidence indicating that was used. But yeah, the red Jeep was not on the Hoosier Harvest Store video, which the indication was he would have drove right past it. We went and picked him up from jail and said, how'd you get there? And he took us right past Harvest Store, and there was no red Jeep on the video. And so we could prove a lot of his lies, and we could prove that he was communicating with the girls, and we could definitely prove that he lied to us multiple times in the investigation. Well, guess what? He wasn't in a fucking red Jeep. I'm telling you, Keegan told his boyfriend he was in a car, not a red Jeep. Guys, get your heads out of your asses about the red Jeep. I mean, you either care about what was really said in this case or you don't. And if you care about what was really said, get the fucking red Jeep out of your heads and think about the car he was in. But of course, one of the key moments in the investigation involves it diverting the conversation again. Okay, here we go. She's gonna say, okay, we're gonna change subject. This I bet you she's a bitch to argue with. That's the type of woman, this woman right here. I'd hate to be that no nut having Kevin, because you get in an argument with her, she wins every time. Because she's going to break out that thesaurus and start using big words. And then she's going to withhold the sex and change the subject. Okay. So she's like the worst girlfriend you've ever had. Of course, one of the key moments in the investigation involves a discovery made by Kathy Schenk. Can you please tell us about that? Well, first of all, Kathy's amazing. She has a heart of gold, retired for years and came back to volunteer to help with the investigation. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go with this. We're about to get shanked. And we also had a few retired people do that, but not at the level that she was. I mean, first she started out at the front desk. When I first remember her being involved was after we moved to the RMC building. She would be down at the front desk. Anybody come in with a tip or a lead, she'd write it down and come get a detective. Just amazing what she did. And she was there a lot. And then, she was asking to help even more. So Steve Mullen knew her very well, worked with her when she was with the DCS or CPS or whatever it was fucking called back then, but Department of Child Services. So he knew her. He trusted her. We all trusted in her. And when she started organizing the filing cabinets, it made the investigation a lot better because we were getting a lot of multiple tips on multiple tips on one person. And what we were finding out that Orion wouldn't put it together. So if you got a tip on a Kevin Greenlee or a Kevin Jerry Greenlee or a Jerry Kevin Greenlee, it wouldn't put that together. So we were giving those tips out and investigators were going and they're like, yeah, I interviewed him. Well, see, when you're putting in your notebooks, your bullet points, here's another one. Promoting the Kathy Shank. That's obviously where we are here. Okay. He said he's already been interviewed 4 times. So once we got the interviews and hard copies and put them in a folder, if you got a tip on a guy, if you got a tip on Jerry Holeman, you go to the H's in the file cabinet, look and be like, oh, okay, he's already been talked to. Is there anything in this tip that's new that we need to talk to him about now? Or is this the same tip or same information? If there's something new, then yeah, we would go interview him multiple times if we need to. So that was very helpful when she would do that. And then later in the investigation, she was going through and making sure that Orion was matched up with the filing cabinet information. And she would always bring tips to investigators saying, hey, I don't see a report on this. And we're like, we're pretty sure it was done. And we'd contact an investigator and maybe he didn't have his report done quite yet. And we would get the reports, or maybe they didn't remember, and we'd have to go back and redo the follow-up on the tip. Oh, sounds great. Sounds great. Sounds like you have your shit together. But yeah, Shanks, you're gonna fucking right now we're validating Shanks. Okay, is what we're doing. So that was common for her to do. And then, the day in late, I believe September, she took the tip of Richard Allen Whiteman and found that. And that was a true blessing and definitely got us in the right direction. No, it didn't get you in the right direction. It put this whole fucking thing together. Let's tell the truth here, Jerry. Okay, there was one tip on Richard Allen that he did himself. Needle in a haystack. And ironically, magically, coincidentally, miraculously, it happened on her deceased husband's birthday. So that's why I believe that was a true blessing from a power a lot higher than us. No, it wasn't. And then when we got the tip, we worked it like any other tip we would get, and we just thoroughly and investigated and exhausted every resource and manpower that we could to either eliminate him as a suspect or establish probable cause. That's what we do with everybody. Aren't we just the greatest? Oh, just imagine. Yeah, obviously we do everything exhaustively and we utilize every resource and all the manpower, and we never fucked up, not even once. And we definitely didn't delete 70 days of potentially exculpatory evidence, meaning the people who actually probably really killed these girls. Oh my God. Dude, give it a rest, man. Everyone knows all you did was nothing but fuck up this entire thing. And most people believe you fucked it up intentionally. Can we speak honestly? Thank you, Teresa. We'd get the tip. We'd either eliminate, we'd establish probable cause. And the only time we were able to establish probable cause was, wait. No, that tip was cleared. That tip was marked as cleared, bro. So if you were really doing it, like if this really happened the way that you want it to seem like it happened, she should have looked at that tip and said, oh, it says cleared, and just go and put it away and never thought a second about it. So thank God for Kathy Shanks. She's an amazing lady. She's always going to have a special place in my heart and many, many others. She's so awesome. Look, dude, I don't buy it. I don't buy it, man. No one buys it. No one buys it with Kathy. Like I don't want to say that she's so evil that she would do this, that she would agree to this. I think you probably use Kathy Shank. I think one of you said, look, we found this guy with a gun that's a match. It's a 40 caliber SIG. His name's Richard Allen. I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this tip, and I think we're going to go put it in Kathy's file cabinet in her box of the drawer or whatever, so that she's going to see it. We're going to lay it right on top where she can't miss it. And I think Kathy went that day, opened the drawer, and boom, there it is laying there magically for her to find. I think that's what you did to Kathy. So you used an old lady with a good heart. And that's giving her the benefit of the doubt. So you yourself had a number of interactions. Wait, where's my thesaurus? I can find a better word than that. With Richard Allen after he came on the radar, and this lead really started running. Can you tell us a bit about that incendiary activation and what it was like? Yeah, I mean, my interactions were brief. So as a supervisor, you don't get to do all the fun stuff sometimes. You just sit on your ass, eat donuts, drink coffee, and kick your feet up and wear suits. So during the search warrant, I was there just to make sure that we did everything as best we could and we didn't tear anything up. That's kind of when you do a search warrant, you don't want to be responsible for having to financially replace any property that was unduly destroyed. So when I first got to Allen's residence, I saw Richard and Kathy sitting in a vehicle. I think it was like a van. I went over there and they got out and walked over towards the CSI. And Richard Allen kind of followed me over and I said, hey, we have a search warrant for your house. Our intentions are not to tear anything up. So if we do, there's a process, and I'll give you the tort claim, and you can file for any damages. And I remember him making a comment, it doesn't matter, it's over. I did the walkthrough. I went back over to him again, and he said something similar like, hey, I didn't see anything. I don't think we're going to tear anything up. If we have a locked container or locked cabinet or something like that, and you have the key, would you be willing to let us open it? He said, yeah, but again, it doesn't matter, it's over. So they started the search. Again, the old guy supervisor, would sort of sit out back and not do the real police work. At the time, I was setting out in my car, and Richard Allen was with his wife in the van. And at some point, he come over and asked if he could sit with me because Kathy had to use the restroom. And I said, yeah, that's no problem. He sat in there with me, but we really didn't talk much at all. He would get out and smoke cigarettes quite a bit. After I want to say 15, 20 minutes, he asked me, did you guys detain my wife or arrest my wife? And I said, no, why would we? And he's like, well, I don't know, but she's been gone a long time. And I said, Well, I could take you over to her place of employment if you want. And he said, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's over. And he said that at least 3 or 4 times to me. Doesn't make him guilty of a double murder of 2 little girls. But you know what it does seem like? It does seem like he thought you arrested his wife or detained her. Did you arrest my wife or detain her? And then remember, when he later goes to the post to do an interview, he takes off shit out of his pockets, of his coat or whatever, like he's going to be arrested. And then he later he says, I knew you were going to arrest me. So he seems to be on this trip of, you're going to arrest my wife or me, like real instantly. But is there any wonder? Is there any wonder? I mean, let me ask Four Pits. He's in the chat. Four Pits. What's the reputation out there of law enforcement? Are they known? Are they feared for always willy-nilly arresting everybody? I mean, it seems like, they didn't arrest Derek German enough, or any of the Kokomo crew, or any of the fucking meth heads, meth dealers, Chrissy Lynn Martin, any of her fucking crowd. But I'm pretty sure they arrest willy-nilly whoever the fuck they want. They fuck with people. That's what law enforcement does in general. And in a town like Delphi, I'm sure they're willy-nilly with just arresting whoever the fuck they want at any time, all the time. But it seems like Richard Allen was concerned with them arresting his wife, as he's saying here. And just a minute. They love to lock up an MFer unless you a snitch. Okay. Sorry, I needed some water. And shortly after that, we were about done with the search. Kathy came back with one of her friends, and she was crying. Richard was trying to console her, and I said, hey, we're done. You want to walk through with me real quick? And I already walked through. I don't see any damages, but if there are, and we can take care of them again. And he said, no, it's over. It's over. Don't worry about it. It's already over. Damage is done. Something like that. So that's my first interaction. It sounds like you know what? Fuck Holeman. Sounds like he was fucking upset that you were fucking with him, that you were at his house, fucking with him, searching through his shit, making him look bad to all the neighbors. It's over. Damage is done. Whatever. It's over. Like, you're trying to make him into a baby killer because he said it's over. The damage is done. It sounds, yeah, the damage was done. Because all his neighbors are now going to know that you were all at his house all day, and all of his friends, and the word's going to spread, and people at the bars are going to talk. I don't think it's a big deal. You're making a huge deal out of it, like it's a profile. Damage is done. Something like that. Then the second was when I interviewed him at the state police post. His demeanor was kind of odd to me because we told him that he was coming to get his property back. He was coming to get his car. When I went out to the lobby to get him, he handed his coat and emptied his pockets and gave his wife all his belongings, which, unless you think you're going to jail, you usually don't do that. What seems like, again, this right here, you're also repeating, just like you did in the other interviews. This is another part of your point of, see, what's the purpose of this whole endeavor? Part of the purpose of this whole endeavor, just like the Kathy Shank and the other shit, the talking points earlier. Now we know this. The purpose is to implicate him because he thinks he's going to get arrested. I've had people where in the interview, I said, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going forward with this report. I'm going to forward this to the prosecutor. If the prosecutor decides to file charges and I get a warrant, will you want me to call you and turn yourself in? Absolutely. And they would cooperate and they would show up just like that sweatpants, t-shirt article, no articles, because they know, I think the average person knows that you don't want to bring things to jail with you because they're probably going to get lost or thrown away or stolen. And you can't bring your own things to jail. You have to get the items you need while you're in jail. So that was a little weird to me when he did that. Just talking to him early on, he seemed to be coherent. He seemed a little bit agitated, but not at first. Yeah, it seems like he thought you were going to fucking arrest him. I don't see what the big deal is about this, that you have to go on 5 different podcasts and tell the same story over and over again and make him look guilty. And at first, I was just building rapport with him, talking to him about the Marine Corps and the Army and guns and giving him scenarios about if somebody had your property for a long period of time, their DNA would be on it. Just giving him an out, basically giving him a chance to explain how his round would got next to Liberty and between Liberty and Abby's deceased bodies. Well, maybe because he doesn't fucking see you ever thought about this? Maybe the reason he doesn't know why his round would be out there between those 2 dead girls is because he honestly doesn't fucking know why on earth that round would be out there. Did it ever occur to you that it could be just that he doesn't have any fucking clue how in the world a round that came out of his gun is allegedly laying there between 2 dead girls? So at some point I could tell he's becoming agitated with me. Yeah, I've been agitated with you since paragraph number 1. But for the most part, I felt like he was just fishing, trying to get me to tell him what we had. But he made some odd comments. Like I said something about, I don't think you're a bad person. And Kathy doesn't think you're a bad person. And he said, well, what kind of bad person kills 2 girls? That was a little disturbing. Why? See, that you've said that in these other interviews. And I don't understand why that's so disturbing to you. What kind of good person? See, and you've also misquoted that. What has been said that he said to you was, what kind of good person? When you say, I think you're a good person, he says, what kind of good person kills 2 girls? Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a phrase I would say. What kind of good person kills 2 girls? Like, come on, you think I'm a good person? Well, what kind of good person kills 2 fucking girls? Come on, man. At the time that he met with his wife, I allowed his wife to come in and talk to him. I allowed him to take a smoke break. I allowed him to use the restroom. I got him a water. Oh, Jesus, you're just being a fucking humane individual with him. Oh, how nice of you. You're so honorable. But when his wife was in there, he was telling her, hey, all you got to do is tell him you need an attorney and they have to let you leave. But don't worry about me. Like, I'm guilty. Just let me deal with it was what was going through my head. And then he would hold his hands out when he get frustrated with me and say, just arrest me, just arrest me. He did that a few times. I've never had an innocent person do that. I don't think anybody ever hold their hands out that many times at all and telling me to arrest them. It's a stupid ass, like none of this matters. Like don't do you see my point in why I'm so disturbed by all of this shit? None of this shit matters. It sounds like a person who's pissed off. What kind of good person kills two girls? Yeah, it sounds like someone pissed off. Just fucking go ahead and arrest me. You're gonna arrest me? Arrest me. Sounds like someone who's sick of talking to your ass. All you got to do is tell them you need an attorney. Sounds like something I would tell my loved ones. Tell them you need an attorney. And then I told him he had a warrant. I had a warrant for his DNA. Before I could get that out, he said, yeah, I knew you had a warrant. I knew you were going to arrest me. Yeah, so which is probably why he's saying, just fucking go ahead and arrest me. Like, in other words, stop talking to me. Stop fucking with me. Just arrest me. I'm like, that's odd. We didn't even know we were going to arrest you today. We were going to get your DNA. We were going to talk to you about this round. And if you could tell us, I loaned this out to Jerry Holeman and go talk to him. He had my gun at the time. And, we were following every lead we could to either eliminate him or establish probable cause. No, you weren't trying to eliminate him. Let's be honest here. You were trying to get him to confess in an interview room that's being recorded so you can use that. You can use his own words against him. Remember, if someone says, yeah, I did this or that, you're going to use it against them, right? And if they say, no, I didn't do that, blah, 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 you're going to say, no, it's hearsay, not admitted. So those behaviors were odd to me. And then just observing video and phone calls and his behavior while he was in jail, and he obviously had some mental health issues. Oh, you don't say. People talk sometimes since the trial about certain things were not shared with the jury. And I'm the biggest cocksucker of the ISP and law enforcement there is. And my name is Kevin Greenlee. I love sucking L.E. cock. And I'd like to ask you a couple things because I'm curious about you mentioned in this interview you had with Richard Allen, the jury was played a recording, and most of that, but not all of that, there were some edits here and there. And I think the most significant, most notable, most jarring edit was there's a time when everybody was just sitting in a room very quiet. I think Richard Allen is looking down, and then there's like a jump cut, and suddenly everybody seems to be yelling and upset, and it was very bizarre to watch. And so can you tell us what was cut out? What happened in that moment the jury did not get to see? Well, you know what's odd about that, Kev? That's the exact same thing Crazy Lauren asked. Remember? Yeah. See, you don't think we're paying attention. Did they tell you to ask about that? Did they tell you to ask about that? So to give him this in? Because he needs the cue to start talking about this. I think you guys are pulling a fast one. Yeah, I would like to add on that too. Maybe there was like 20 seconds of me yelling and screaming, and I have a rule of thumb when I interview people. I try to speak their language. So if they're not cussing at me or cussing while I talk while talking to me, I will try not to curse at them or use curse words. And if you watch the first part of that interview, the first hour and whatever, I never said a curse word. So that was kind of important. Because I know everybody's like, oh, Jerry Holeman's so mean. And, I was using tactics to try to elicit in tactics. Why is it so important to match somebody's behavior when you're interviewing them? I think several reasons. Control, tell them, try to, the old I'm asking the questions here, it's like I'm in control here. You don't want to let them be in control. Sometimes you do. You can play off that. But, we use that deceptive behavior because number one, it's upheld with the Supreme Court. You mean lying. Okay, because you explained that clearly in the other interview. It wasn't previous to this, it was after this. You said, I like to call them deceptive tactics. Yeah, Jerry Holeman, your deceptive tactics, that means lying, misleading, and exaggerating the person you're interviewing so that you can get them to confess to something. Okay, so are we speaking honestly here? Your deceptive tactics? It's upheld in the Supreme Court. Number two, it elicits a response that leads you to other statements that they make that would indicate they're involved. That's one reason. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we use. You mean lying straight up. But back to the interview, I had offered Richard Allen an out. I said, if you're innocent, take a polygraph. He said, no. He said, first, he's done helping us, and he's already helped us so much, and he wasn't going to give us any more help. Yeah, you know what I'd say? Fuck your polygraph. I'm not talking. I need an attorney immediately. Why? Because I don't trust any of you anymore. Okay? We don't trust most people. You know why the people have lost faith in law enforcement? It's because of people like you. No one wants to talk to cops anymore. No one wants to help cops. No one wants to take your fucking polygraphs. And no one wants to talk and say a goddamn word except, I need a lawyer. I'm saying 3 words to you. I need a lawyer. That's all you're getting out of me. I need a lawyer. He said, well, because I'm on anxiety meds. And, our polygraph examiners, we deal with that all the time. They'll establish a baseline and they'll be able to rule that out. And if you're innocent, you have nothing to hide. You take a polygraph. And during that time, Kathy Allen was in there. And I asked her, I said, hey, if you're trying to help prove your innocence, would you want my help? And would you, if you were innocent, would you take a polygraph? And you know what that's called, dumbass? That's called using his wife against him. I'm sure that infuriated him because you're trying to use his wife as a wedge. You're using his wife as a tool against him. I'm sure that sent him over the edge. And she said, yes, absolutely, I would. And I said, well, Richard Allen won't. Your husband won't. And then he got angry and said, I'm not fucking helping you anymore. And I said, well, you can only help yourself. And then it came out, he wanted his wife out of there. And I'm like, Kathy, tell him to do the right thing here, yelling and screaming a little bit. Oh, so you were yelling and screaming while trying to use his wife against him, and you wonder why he was mad about it. So that's the basis of it. And then he also tried to put it on me. He said, you're going to pay for this. And I said, no, I'm not paying for this. You pay for what you've done. And it was obvious I was very angry. But again, it was a tactic. I came back calm, put handcuffs on him, made sure they were double locked for his comfort and safety. And they didn't tighten up and took him out, took him to the sheriff's department. And we didn't have any interactions, heated or not. Wait. What was your probable cause for the arrest? Him refusing the polygraph? Is refusing a polygraph probable cause for an arrest? is telling you he's not going to help you anymore probable cause for an arrest? Emptying his pockets of cigarettes, probable cause for an arrest? Saying arrest me, probable cause for an arrest? Getting angry at you because you're using his wife against him, probable cause for an arrest? So you went from 0 to 60 in 1 second. Because see that statement when he says you're going to pay for this, and you say you're going to pay for what you've done. How do you know he did it? That's what's killing me right here. That's what's killing me. So he gets mad because you're using his wife against him, and he says you're going to pay, and then you say no, you're going to pay for what you've done. How do you know? How do you know what he's done, Jerry Holeman? And let me add this. After you've used the read technique and lying to him, deceptive tactics for more than an hour while fucking with his wife and screaming and yelling at him and cursing. So yeah, it's just some tactics that we use. Yeah, bullshit tactics, which is the reason no one trusts cops anymore. And then he goes on with this explanation like he does on the other interview. You see the motivation here? It's kind of similar to what you do as a parent, you use with your kids. You're trying to get them to tell the truth. You're trying to be deceptive and tell them you know more than you do, or yell and scream at them. It just depends on the kid, how they're going to react. Do you yell and scream at your kids and lie to your kids? Kathy Shank, CPS, you want to check Jerry Holeman's kids out? It's not anything that outrageous or not used on a daily basis. Oh, so things like anger, raised voices, and deception can be part of a toolkit in an interview that you can deploy strategically. Oh, she got out the thesaurus for this one. Murder shits got that thesaurus out. You can toolkit deploy strategically to see if you can elicit a reaction. And I need to requisition your penis in my vagina hole, she says to Kevin. Sorry. I'm sure there's not much of that going on. All right. Yeah, I think so. And I think it's taught in interviewing schools and read technique. And you have to use something that's going to work for you personally too. You can't, I don't think Kevin can come in and just start yelling at people and people might not respond. You, on the other hand, you might be able to identify, you definitely come and yell and scream at people and they would respond, but everybody's different. Wait. Are you calling Kevin a pussy and the wife a bitch? Can we read this again? I know this ain't true. Say it's not so. Holeman calling it as he sees it here. I don't think Kevin can come in and just start. I'm serious. It's right here in the middle. Look. Cuckold Kevin. I don't think Kevin can come in here and just start yelling at people and people might not respond. Ein, on the other hand, you might be able to. You definitely come and yell and scream at people and they would respond. But everybody's you bitch. Oh my God, bro. Puss and bitch. Shrek and Fiona up in the house. Oh, you have to find a technique that you or your personality's gonna work well with. Woo! I told you, bro. I bet she's withholding. And you also have to read the person, yelling and screaming at people. Some people aren't going to work, but they're going to shut down. Be super nice to them isn't going to work either. So you got to find that button to push, for lack of better terms. Oh, now. Let me ask you this. Come on, really. Who's the manipulator here? Think about this. Who's the true manipulator in this room? And again, it's not always about getting a confession. It's about getting a response. Yeah, we want confessions, but that didn't happen very often. I'll make the baseball analogy. If you bat 300 in baseball, you're in the Hall of Fame. If you hit 3 out of 10, if you get 3 out of 10 people to confess, you're doing really well. I mean, I think that you can relate to people. Don't just confess to stuff they don't want people to know about. But if you can get a confession, great. And these are ways that we try to elicit those. But a lot of times it's just to get more information to be able to follow up with, and circumstantial evidence or physical evidence, you need to prove they're guilty. Yeah, so in other words, you just try your fucking hardest, right? Can we stop inflating our egos here? You just try your best to do your job. Mm. Okay, I see I gotta deal with a puss. Hold on. I try to be a good host and deal with your stupid ass, Anthony. And every fucking time you do the same thing because you're a fucking idiot, Anthony. Anthony, I hope you choke. I hope you choke in your own spit tonight. Okay? That's all I got to say. I'll be nice and not follow up at the end of that sentence. Okay, with the rest of that sentence. You had to, Anthony. You fucking troll. You've been a fucking cuck since day one, you fucking dumb troll. I'm always nice to you, and you take advantage. Every single time, bro. Never fucking fails. Like, you're truly a fucking tard. Okay. Puss. I also want to ask you about polygraphs. Obviously, they're not admissible in court. Why can they be a tool used investigatively though? Like, what can they help with in that sense? On rare occasions, they can be used. If they're stipulated, you can use them in court, but that doesn't happen very often. But yeah, there's just another interview process. It's another tool you can use to, again, elicit responses. I'm not a polygraph examiner by any means. Yeah, because the good one died. Yeah, you fucking murdered her and burned her alive, the white supremacists in Central Indiana. Yeah, we know what happened. I'm not a polygraph examiner, but we successfully use polygraph to get people to give us information that we need to establish the evidence to be able to get probable cause to get that arrest warrant, because that's what matters. So yeah, they're helpful. Cuckold Kevin here. I'd like to ask about something else that wasn't shared with the jury. There was a video of Oh, I got to give it to you. Here again, this is how I know they were told what to ask. Okay, they were told what to ask. So was that crazy bitch. You know how I know? Because she asked the same question. And what they are trying to get him to say to the public here is about Richard Allen's outburst. Okay, check it out. Check out what I'm saying. And those of you who listened to the show where I went over Lawrence, you'll hear. That's why it's important to critically analyze these. It really is. There was a video, Cuckold Kevin here. There was a video of Richard Allen at Cass County that the prosecution seemed to really want to share with the jury, and the defense really did not want the jury to see this video. What can you tell us about this video and what it showed? Which opens the door for him to describe this. And like I say, there's a reason they're on this PR campaign right now. Okay, this is public narrative control. Check it out. I'm not sure why they wanted it or didn't want it, but I think what it would show, they were trying to establish that Richard Allen was this fragile egg. I think the term was used, and we were trying to establish that he was not. And this particular video that we were trying to get in, Richard Allen was sitting there calm in his bed. Let me remove it to say this. Pay attention now. And then just from 0 to 100 snapped and just went ballistic, verbally and physically abusive to anybody and everybody around, punching a door, banging his head, yelling and screaming, doing a throat slashing motion, and just terrible behavior. And then, but in a nutshell, and the 10 seconds after he calmed down, no, I'm fine. I'll sit over here and read my Bible. And I think that just shows, the kind of person he is, and that he has ability to go, off the wall. And I think that's probably what happened on February 13th is he got angry and just snapped and wanted to be in control and power and killed those 2 innocent girls. And as a matter of fact, because I care about you, I'm going to read the appropriate part, okay? Let me let you hear this because he identically rephrased this. Watch. Please let me read it for you before we get out of here, because this is important. Let me look for the word. All right, listen. So this is how it's done. Oops. What the hell? Okay. Here we go. Jeez, I just lost it. Okay, there we go. She says, there are a couple other things. Now, this is the crazy chick that you guys weren't able to, I should say the prosecution wasn't able to share during trial. One of them being a video of Richard Allen being angry. Can you share what that video was and why the prosecution might have wanted to share it, or anything else you weren't able to share? Yeah, there was probably a few things, blah 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 blah. And so during this video he says they were trying to make him, I think the term they used was fragile egg. And so during this video at Cass County, he became very abusive. He was sitting on his cot and reading a Bible, and he just broke out, had an outburst, and started yelling and screaming, and made a throat slashing motion, and started threatening to kill everybody, and started banging his head on the wall, punching the door. And within seconds, he just turned into this violent human being. And I think that he showed that he has this ability to lose his temper and become a monster. And then within seconds, he calmed back down and sat on his bed and said, "No, I'm fine." But he was able to control it. And that, in my opinion, is he got angry at the bottom of the hill on February 13th. And the girl said or did something, or something happened, and he's capable of doing that. He's capable of losing control and coming into or being that beast that he is that day and killing two innocent teenage girls. So you see what I mean about how the mission in these so-called interviews is to put out this narrative. So that he had Murder Sheet ask him that question, and then he had Lauren ask him that question, right? So I think it was important. Oh, let's get back to the murder sheet here. Okay, so I think it was important, but it was too prejudicial to the jury, and I think that's why the judge ruled on it, which is probably the right thing to do. I don't know. I'm pretty confident that she did a lot of right things, but that's what I think that was about. We would like to thank Lieutenant Title Holeman for speaking with us about his experience with the case. We very much appreciate it. Check out the next episode for the rest of our conversation. Thanks so much for listening to the Murder Shets. If you have a tip concerning one of the cases we covered, please email us. If you have actionable information about an unsolved crime, please report it to the authorities. If you're interested in joining our Patreon, that's available too. If you want to tip us a bit of money, oh, two lawyers. I mean, they need. Oh, come on, do they need buy me a coffees? I mean, you guys make the big money. Why are you asking for buy me a coffee? Look, the prof over here ain't making shit. Okay. You gotta be kidding me. They're begging for money, dude. You gotta be kidding me, bro. Like, y'all, come on, you make that lawyer money. Really? You're a journalist. You're a lawyer, journalist, attorney. You need to buy me a coffee money? I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Listen, I do need your support though. Okay. This household over here, we live solely off of savings and our earned income from here. Okay. Because the prof retired a couple years ago when I started this journey. This has become a full-time endeavor. So please do. If don't don't send your money to the murder sheet, but if you want to send your money to the prof, I truly do appreciate it. We have our funding pathways here. I got the Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, various super chats, and all this other stuff, and merchandising, and we have various pathways for support. If you want to support us, if you have some extraordinary extenuating circumstance for supporting in a different pathway, just send me an email, shoot me an email. I'll gladly accept your support, and I do need it because, like I said, this has turned into a full-time endeavor for me, covering these various topics that we cover, and I don't have the lawyer money, or the journalist money, or the significant other pathways other than your own support, which keeps us afloat. So I thank you so much for your support. Also, please hit the thumbs up, the like. The like shows the channel a lot of support. And if you're on the replay, and many of you will be, please on that replay, leave comments down below, okay? Because the comments down below on the replay keep the video going. It keeps pushing it out to more people, just like hitting that like. And it also enables you to add your voice to the conversation. Okay. Now, Oh, thank you. If you sent me a buy me a coffee, I want to thank you so much. And if you sent me, we do have a GoFundMe, which has been going a long time. No one ever sends to the GoFundMe. That's cool too, though. Uh, I always say if you want to send me uh, assistance in the best way possible, the Cash App's the best. Okay. Do appreciate your Cash Apps when you send them, but all support is appreciated. Even the good old the thumbs up. If you can't support financially, the thumbs up are a wonderful support because rumor has it that they somehow help the algorithm. But I must admit to you, I'm no genius when it comes to YouTube's algorithms, so I'm not sure at all about what helps the algorithms with the thumbs up or the comments. But rumor has it that engagement on the channel helps the algorithm. So with that being said, let me also say that we've got all kind of other material. I know you guys are going to be snowed in a few days with the blizzard. If you happen to be snowed in, a great deal is that we've got hundreds and thousands of hours of uh, content on the channel from our past videos. So go enjoy the channel if you'd like to, or the community page makes for some good reading from time to time. So please genuinely enjoy the channel. You're welcome here. The only thing I ask is that you don't treat us like a bunch of idiots, because if you start with the bad, negative, uh, Debbie Downer, gaslighting, and all that, I do block you. So let's try to avoid that. But I do thank you so much for your participation here, and I love you all so much. Um, Now let's see. Marie says that she sent a cash app. Thank you very much, Marie. Appreciate that. Um, I'll go check it out. And Christina sent a. Is that Canadian? Thank you for the cash app, Christina. All right. For Pitt says if you like a channel, it helps the algorithm. That's how it works. That's what I'm told, but I'm no expert on the algorithm, the particulars of engagement in the algorithm, all of that. But I want to thank everyone. Man, this, like I said, this will definitely. This is no joke. Okay, this will definitely be a two-part show because tomorrow we'll do part two because this is a two-parter. Okay, so this was part one. The interview's not over. We're just halfway through. So this was part one. Tomorrow we'll cover part two, and tomorrow I promise we will have a chat or a discussion with the chat after. Um, so tomorrow look for part two, and at the end of our reading through it, we'll do live discussion with the chat. Okay, so I promise you that tonight we're not doing any reading of the chat because I'm exhausted. My voice is gone. I think I'm catching whatever Rick Snay has. My voice has just been deteriorating, and honestly, I think mine is allergies. Pretty sure mine is allergies. But poor Rick. Rick's having a hell of a time with his voice, and uh, and it's unfortunate because Rick and I have had a show planned for a week and a half, and his voice is so tore up that he could barely squeak one out today. Okay, so I got to say, you guys pray for Rick if you don't mind. Pray for Rick, honestly. Pray for his voice because we need Rick's voice out here. All right, so pray for Rick because Rick's voice is it's going bad. It's going bad for him, and mine. I know it's all allergies. I just don't know how to fix it. Okay, I don't know how to fix my allergies. But I love you guys, and let me say hello to everyone in the chat at least, at a minimum, before we get out of here. But I do appreciate all your support in every way possible, especially just for being here and watching. And you two in the chat, or all you guys in the chat, I love you. My chatters are the best. So we got a sweet dude Shibby. Part two tomorrow. Hey, look, Indy Cindy. Why were they loading in the backs of the ambulances at the old CPS building on helicopter? Were they? Did I miss that? I'll have to go relook at that. Okay. All you guys, what's up? What's up? What's up, V? What's up, Fur Baby Daddy? Long timer. Fur Baby Daddy, my old favorite. Fur Baby Daddy's been around a long time. Leanne, been around. What's up, Leanne? Thank you for the super chat. What's up, Sarah? Why are you looking the side eyes? What happened? Are you talking about the oh, you're talking about the CPS? Okay. Good show, Prof. It's the fog, says Mino Dino. Conspiracy theorist motherfucker. Okay. We've been poisoned? I don't know. No, mine is allergies, I'm pretty sure, hopefully. Thanks for everyone. Prof secretly told me he wants to go for another few hours. I'll keep my comments to myself. Possum friend, thank you. Jurors with credibility tell the story, not a biased account. Where the fuck are the jurors? Mark Ellis, $50 super chat. What? Sponsoring tonight's show, Mark Ellis. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Thank you for sponsoring tonight's show. Critical analysis of Murder Sheets ISP Holeman PR piece, part 1, sponsored by Mark Ellis, Mr. Mark Ellis. All right. We'll see you tomorrow, Mark. For anyone in the YouTube channels to get more information on this to help. Yeah, look, right now it's a bad deal right now. They can't be begging the YouTubers right now. We've tried to help them all they can. The defense fucked up. You know, I'm not trying to be mean to anyone. I'm telling you right now, the defense fucked up. The defense fucked up. They did. Now, maybe things can be turned around. We'll figure that out. They should have gone after the Kokomo crew immediately. Okay. And all of the white nationalists, they fucked up. It's not the Odinists. Okay. The Odinists is a cover for something worse, something deeper, and they missed the ball. They missed it. So maybe they'll turn it around. I don't know. I'm not bashing anyone, but I'm also not going to gaslight all of you listeners. My opinion is defense fucked up. But you know, it's not hard to imagine why they would, because they were handed a travesty. I mean, what they were handed was a disaster. How do you expect them to make something of that? I mean, imagine how much exculpatory evidence or pertinent evidence was deleted, gone, disappeared, not there. What they did get, they got disorganized, and a year late, you know, it's I don't know, man. The defense needed us 2 years ago. They should have started talking to us all and reaching out through our communities. A lot more could have been done. They're late to the show. Okay, this whole thing is late to the show. But like I said, if they had any wherewithal at all, they'd go looking at Megan Allen and all her friends, Gabe Ellis and the Kokomo crew, and everyone that was dealing for Christy Lynn Martin and Derek German. And if they start down that path, they might get somewhere. But it's kind of late for all that. This is what happens when little boys in gigantic man bodies never learn to express big fifis. Holeman admitted he was so angry someone did this. What about other murdered children in Indiana? What about those Flora babies? What about those Flora babies, Holeman? Okay. They got that burger money. Oh, man. Directly to the murder ships who might be in this chat right now. We know this is all about a shower to you. House cleaners, about $150. They'll come in, they'll clean the house. It'll be nice. Haircuts, $35. You know. Showers, I don't know. I'll take you to the car wash and hose you off real quick. All right. No, that's extra mean. Don't be mean in my chat, please. Don't be mean in my chat. All right. All right. I'm just kind of going back and looking to see who was here. Everyone was being awesome in the chat except for fucking stupid Anthony Franson. He's permanently banned. but I'm sure he'll make a new account and come gaslight us again. But I've been very patient with old Anthony. Anthony France, I've been so patient with you. You've never appreciated it. You try to come and like get your licks in. Tisk, 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 Anthony France. You never earn my respect that way. Hmm. Now, like I said before, you guys never listen to me. There was more hair at the crime scene. There was a clump of hair over at the end of the bridge that belonged to a female. Oh, whose hair was that? Gray Pubes would have yelled that $50 isn't enough. Send him more. Stop it. Stop it. My friends, I'm putting myself in jail. I'm not saying anything else unless I get a $50 super chat. My friend's baby needs prayer. He has a tumor on the brain at 16 months. Say a prayer if you're willing. Well, please pray for Snae's voice and Teresa's friend's baby. All right, so I just love all of you. Let's see. Yeah, thanks to Mark. And thanks, Mary Martin says, everyone in the Midwest and South, stay warm, stay safe in this weather. Thank you, mods. And the prof. Great show as always. I love you. Thank you. Hey, and let me say this because I want to use my platform responsibly. Oh, shut it. Shut. Shh. All right. Something's upset the dog. But listen, everybody out there in the Midwest, please don't get on those highways or those roads unless you have to, right? Those roads ice over with black ice so easily. And you get out driving, you lose control, you end up in a pileup, someone gets hurt. Don't go out driving in the fucking snow if you don't have to. I mean, come on, dudes. Like, we need to learn to be happy at home. Like I said, make your hot chocolates, make some nice dinners, cook some muffins, get the house smelling like bread, go put the heaters on, tuck in the blankets, enjoy some YouTube on the television or whatever. Enjoy your home for a while until the weather passes and the ice melts. Don't get on those icy roads, please. If you love me at all, if you enjoy the chat, stay off the roads in the ice and in the snow. Do me that favor, because people around here, there's always the same deals happen. They lose control. I've already seen it over in Kansas City. Was having a hell of a time today. Just enjoy it, okay? Until the roads de-ice. Then you go back to your normal playing around. All right. What's up, Sleuthy Goosey, Indy Cindy, Criminal Network, Miss K, True Tammy, Indy Cindy, Lisa, Heather Brown, Jay, Digital. Okay. Everyone in here, I just appreciate you for being in here. Thank you so much. Now my voice is gone, so I'm out of here. But thanks so much for supporting the channel and for being here and joining the chat. I do appreciate that. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and we'll be here with part 2 of the Jerry Holeman Murder Shits PR piece. And we'll break down the gaslighting for everyone out there. And then we'll have a great week. So happy Sunday. God bless everyone. If you're on the replay, hit that thumbs up. Don't do me wrong. All right. See y'all later. Thanks, mods. Super mods, especially Amy, Heather Brown, and Kayla. Thank you very much.